All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Talk. As always, my name is Brian. I am on the Learning Center team over here at Geotab, and we've got a great kind of topic today. We've shifted a little bit, deviated a little bit from what you saw in the summary when you enrolled in this webinar, but we feel like what we've come up with is going to add a little bit more value going into 2019 and where we're heading there. I do have with me the same presenter, Andy Georgian, and this is going to be more of like a Q&A kind of a discussional-based webinar about where we see ourselves going with Geotab solutions going into 2019 compared to market trends and things we're doing today that we're going to need to maybe change to continue to grow. And without further ado, I'm going to let Andy take over.
Hey, thanks, Brian. So I'm Andy Georgian. As we sort of look at a year ending and a year starting, one of the things we thought that would be beneficial maybe in today's Tuesday conversation would be to look at some things maybe that happened in 2018 and how those could impact 2019. So specifically what I'd like to kind of talk about first is just some observations as the year ended. So, thankfully people are back at work and moving again, but, the last couple of weeks have given me, frankly, some opportunity to do some analysis on, where business came from last year. How does that look heading into 19? So one of the first things I really would like to kind of point out is that, we ended the year at 1.3 million subscriptions, right? So that's a fantastic number. And considering, not too long ago, we were striving to get to 1 million, it's a 30-odd% growth in that subscription base, right? And we also think about the fact that maybe Verizon, a large competitor in this conversation, acquired a few firms, and let's just say for the sake of argument that total base is another 1.2 or something. I don't know the exact number at hand, but what does that tell us, right? So if we look at the fact historically where analysts have said that maybe there's as many as 7 million fleets in the small medium space in the United States alone, it really says that maybe a third of them, maybe a fourth, have some form of telematics in them today, right? So I think the idea that maybe there's a lot of green field, so to speak, is perhaps, I don't want to say a notion of the past, but I think it's worth considering as we look at 19, what are we building to be able to take business away from, let's call it, inferior solutions, right? I think, there's probably less and less meetings that we all collectively go into where somebody says, hey, I've kind of heard of this, I'm not really sure, I don't know much about it. I think probably more meetings, people say, yes, I've used this in the past, or I use something today. I think it's important to think about being able to build and craft a strategy that is not only market competitive, but that speaks to how we can take business away from other solutions. And in turn, how are we helping to ease the pain from that customer that wants to move from one solution to another? So that's something that as I look at 18 and I head into 19, that's something that I immediately think about. One of the things that I looked at as I just sort of did some analysis around our business is, every channel, be it fleet management or resellers or it's a wireless carrier, whatever, the growth was all very similar. So my point is that all across the board, we see the space growing. And I think that we should continue to see that in 19. And I think the parties that have a really firm grasp on their unique value proposition, but are also bringing in complementary yet diversified offerings into the Geotab ecosystem with their customers, be that marketplace partners or additional offerings, will be ones that will set themselves apart in the form of added value to those customers, which will again help protect them from competitors like I described previous year, but also be able to have a compelling conversation and value proposition to acquire business from people that have an incumbent solution. And to me, again, as a sort of corollary to that, I look at just the massive growth in the marketplace system. And I think one of the things I always personally like is to be able to sit in a meeting and kind of be able to answer yes to most questions, right? You know, hey, can the solution do this? Well, yes, we do 90% of that, but we have a partner that is a best in class with that remaining 10. So I think as I look at 19, it's continuing to really be able to understand everything in the Geotab ecosystem and be able to effectively articulate the value of them really in concert with the core value of myself as a reseller and as a partner. I mean, how am I aligning all of this and weaving it into what is my core value and core value proposition rather as a partner. So, you know, those are some of the things as I look at 18 and head into 19. I'm really, I think we'll shape some continued success into 19. So, you know, some buzzwords, and you know, if anyone knows me here in the general ether, you would know that I really don't like buzzwords. I don't like fake business words. I don't like words that get thrown around with really no context behind it. 5G is one of those things, in my opinion. Everybody is saying we've got 5G, 5G is going to be great. I don't know why. I thought 4G and LTE was going to change my life too. I don't know. It's kind of the same, to the best of my knowledge. When we think about what 5G means to the Geotab world, to me it means a couple things. Number one, I think wireless carriers will be enamored and frankly incentivized to sell 5G solutions. So perhaps parties that were selling 3G or even LTE-based telematics devices will probably have an incentive to sell higher ARPU and frankly sexier 5G solutions as a individual contributor to carrier. So what does that mean? To me, that means that the account executive here in Cincinnati, Ohio, that was calling every service-based company trying to sell a fleet deal is calling every service-based company now trying to sell them a new tablet that runs with a 5G chipset so that they can do real-time video conferencing about what's wrong with a furnace, right? I mean, like, that's the stuff that 5G theoretically enables. It enables more maybe fixed point data transfer in that IoT space. But again, I think it will take some focus away from what carriers are trying to do in the fleet space. But what does that mean to us at Geotab? I don't know if we're coming out with a 5G chipset. I don't even know what it would do. Transfer data faster? Fine. Pro Plus works as is. But I think what you should really be thinking about is perhaps a camera partner that has 5G capabilities that works in that Geotab ecosystem. Because again, as we're looking at, and this is a preview of slide 5, of generating more revenue from what we have today, I think we need to look at complementary solutions that are looking towards the future. And I do think, be it driving behavior and maybe some more real-time camera type things in cab to speak to driver fatigue or driver distraction or things of that nature, yeah, 5G would assist with some of those things. But once again, we're back to a reoccurring theme here of looking at a marketplace or complementary partner to layer into an existing Geotab solution. And that's, to me, some of the impact of 5G on this space in 2019. Oh, gosh. What challenges are we facing heading into 2019? So, I don't know. I mean, insert potential economic trouble here. I don't know that will perhaps happen, but it's certainly always worth keeping an eye on things like that. You know, turbulence in any market impacts money that people are spending. That being said, to me, when you have challenging economic times and you're bringing a solution to a table that helps people save money, frankly, it's a little more compelling conversation about reducing fuel when gas is $3 a gallon versus $1.89, right? So I do think perhaps some economic uncertainty and turbulence is a challenge heading into 2019. And I spoke earlier about the fact of, you know, are we heading towards market saturation and things of that nature? I don't know if market saturation is the right term, but I think we would all be remiss and negligent if we didn't accept the fact that, you know, there's more of this type of technology today. There's more players. There's different people selling this type of solution than there was 2, 3, 1 year ago. But to that point, you know, I do think that it also is in some ways a positive, as there's more people around. It forces, I think, a sharp reseller and sharp partners to look at, are they diversifying their revenue streams around Geotab? So the challenge to me is that I don't know that you could maybe get $200 for a Go device and $30 for Pro in 2019. I don't know. I don't know the market conditions associated. I do know that 3 years ago, a 75-inch Samsung TV with a curved thing this and 4K that was $8,000, you know, and it's $1,500. Technology gets better, faster, cheaper, quicker, stronger over time. And I think that as we look at what our hardware costs and what that subscription looks like to an end customer, I think with the amount of competitors in the space, any customer will have a certain increased degree of price sensitivity, which would encourage you to look at what are these other ancillary revenue streams that I can generate from this customer. Once again, is it an added value service on top of Geotab? You know, is it telematics as a service? Is it increased consultancy around the data? You know, I had a conversation with somebody earlier today that was around, you know, why should I do this here versus there? This person's going to analyze my data, and I have to do far less with this thing that I like, and now they're going to handle the analysis for me. Why shouldn't I buy the one that does the analysis? My answer was, well, that would be your choice. Certainly that's an added value to you, and you have to put a dollar amount on your time and what you're going to extrapolate from said analysis. And it's that type of thinking, to me, that will continue to be a correct answer to the challenge, right? Anytime a challenge exists, the important thing is to recognize it and acknowledge it and be out ahead of it and be proactive in what you're going to do around that challenge versus simply being reactive to it and saying, oh gosh, I'm getting my lunch eaten by increased analytics, versus I've built an analytics offering that I've baked into a monthly subscription over a 24-month period. Right? The latter is a far more progressive way of doing it than simply reacting to a potential decrease in revenue. So how are you going to increase revenue streams in 2019 as per slide 5? I just gave you one, in my opinion, which is really looking at added value services and other things in the ecosystem that create a monthly reoccurring revenue stream. And one thing that I really hope people grab a hold of this year that I think is a tremendous thing to harken back to a previous slide about, you know, trends, asset tracking, right? I think everybody on this call probably has, I'm just going to say, some 25, 50 unit service-based company, construction company, etc. You've already got the 25 or 50. How many trailers? How many backhoes? How many lawnmowers? How many skid steers? How many gosh knows what does this organization have that you can now put the new Flex product on? How much revenue is that generating from a CapEx and an OpEx perspective to your firms? But more importantly, how much value is that creating to your customer, right? To have that in a single view, on a single bill, and you're boxing out other competitors from getting in there and sort of piecemealing that business. So you're looking, to me, increasing your revenue stream by really looking at what are these kind of 80-20 type customers, right? I would hope everybody's got some customers that are referrals that are, you know, you're very tight with, that you could go in and sit with them and say, hey, you know, let's go through all of the business challenges that you have right now. And let's figure out which of those, hopefully all, could be solved by something in the Geotab ecosystem. And let's hope that you're the ones that sell it to them, right? Because, again, you're providing amazing value to that person who is, frankly, invested in your relationship. you're providing a ton of value to them because you, in one meeting, are solving 3 or 4 problems and putting it alongside something that they've already, made a part of their business process today, right, with the Geotab solution. So to me, that's a huge way to increase revenue, is really looking at that core base of business, those folks that are really integral to your organization's success, and trying to ultimately glean more revenue from them by introducing other aspects of the Geotab ecosystem to them that frankly you can bill and generate additional one-time revenue and hardware licenses or whatever, as well as monthly reoccurring revenue from that. So I really hope that people are really taking a look at things like that heading into 19 and not just saying, hey, as a company, we got to sell more Go devices. We at Geotab obviously appreciate that, I guess. But I think you as a reseller need to be thinking about how are you selling all of the different things that complement that device. So to me, increasing revenue streams in 2019 is really through diversification, and it's also maybe creating internal strategies of taking away business from again, incumbent competitors. And one of the things I would encourage people to think about is maybe developing a really sound transition plan, like just a boilerplate scope of work that says, hey, you use solution 1, 2, 3 today. You like ABC feature and functionality around it. Geotab is going to do ABC feature and functionality in X, Y, Z. If you give me a flat file export of your zones and your vehicles, we're going to import all those for you. We're going to help you do installation this way by sending you self-service videos. Make the decision not just financially easy, but make it operationally easy, right? And I think as you look at 2019 and with increasing revenue, I think it's about being aggressive and taking business away from, I guess we'll just say it, we're all friends here, it's from inferior solutions, right? And I think we've all know that there's inferior solutions that are with your customers today. And there's or potential customers as well. And I think as a corollary to that, it's really looking at running your business as a multi-year funnel as well. So if you meet with somebody today in January and they say, I'm under contract until May, what is your strategy between now and May to make sure that in May they switch to you? What are you building a great demo program with them where you're going to get them a couple devices and show them the value in the interim? Do you have some form of CRM in place today that is sending you automated tasks to stay on top of that? I know for the organizations that I work with, that's one of the things I'm really looking at is with all the opportunity and all the activity that exists, making sure it's all being maximized, right? And I think with effectively harnessing CRM tools, we can do that.
All right, man. Looks like we're going to go ahead and conclude this. I appreciate everybody taking the time out of their day. And Andy, as always, I appreciate the value you added here and some of the things you brought up about increasing revenue streams and some of the things we can do to expand our portfolio and business going into 2019.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time and partnership, and here's to a happy, healthy, and profitable 2019.